Take it away.
Thank you. Happy Easter, everyone. Living large in a tiny square. Broken pieces seem to lead nowhere. Why do I feel that my life is just pretend? Oh, my dreams staying way too small. They lead me back to where I started from. How can I move when I fear what lies ahead? Well, there's more than what I see. Each step brings me closer to me. Yes, I realize it's inside of me. Yeah, I realize there are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. Oh, you and me, God, and this holy word. I realize now, with each new day I see my life getting bigger with less denying. It's my choice now to leave or just give in, give in. And every morning I give thanks, amen, to all the growth I've experienced. And I've become a dream that's worth believing I am. Well, there's more than what I see. Each step brings me closer to free. I realize it's inside of me now. I realize there are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. No walls in between you and me, God, and this holy word, your holy word. Well, it's a long road, but one I choose to travel through this lifetime. And I am learning what not to do. Believe me, believe me. There's more than what you see. Oh, I realize it's inside of me, yeah. I realize there are no walls in between, no. I realize it's inside of me. I realize there are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. There are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. There are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. There are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. Sing if you're feeling walls in between you and me and this holy word. There are no walls. There are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. There are no walls in between you and me and this holy word. I know no walls between you and me, God, between me and my neighbor. No walls in between me and this precious earth. I know no walls in between you and me. There are no walls in between. No walls in between you and me. There are no walls in between. No walls in between you and me. Oh. I realize now.
Thank you, Laura Berman. That was beautiful. I'm going to share my screen now for our meditation. So let's take a moment to go within. Easter is about resurrection of the total self. This renewing process that we mark, especially today. We can mark this every day, every moment. We mark it especially today. And a friend of mine used to tell me, David, you've got to remember who you really are. That was the first real spiritual message in the New Thought way that I received. And so in the spirit of remembering to remember, let's just let our breathing still, our breathing become calm as we remember to remember. And the first way is by just noticing. Noticing the grandeur and noticing the miracle of being alive on this planet. And the fact that we all know that it reverberates with a magic. It reverberates with this source that is all God, whatever the God of our understanding looks like. It's all present and it's all knowing. And so we remember to remember who we are when we notice this. And we remember to remember by asking, just by asking to be awakened more. Asking to notice the moments of grace that have brought us to this very moment and that carry us through some of the difficult moments in our life, but carry us through sometimes gracefully, as grace does. And we remember to remember who we really are whenever we have unconditional love for ourselves. Learning new habits of thinking, because this unconditional love for ourselves includes every thought that we have. And it may be counter to every message that some of us were raised with. It may be counter to every message we see in the outside world. It may be counter to what the conditions of the outside world are saying. But when we start by giving ourselves unconditional love, we remember to remember where our divinity comes from. And awakening to that self-love. We can remember to remember by noticing God in others as we see it awaken in them. And with simple acts of kindness, we help it awaken in each other compassionately. And so finally, as we go into the silence for a moment, let's remember to remember by listening to the sacred stillness that is not empty, but is full, as we share this silence with like-minded people in this sanctuary for just a moment. So I call today blessed. I call today so sacred, as we remember to remember, as we awaken. And so it is. And Margie, I'm going to spotlight you for our readings.
Today's reading is adapted by David from Unity Daily Word. This Easter, I gratefully accept my renewal as I awaken to the call of the divine. I turn to the Christ presence within me and discover new life and energy, lifting me into higher awareness and understanding of spiritual truth. In so doing, I leave behind that which held me in bondage. I rise above limiting beliefs, habits, and actions. With unwavering faith, I rise to accept new possibilities and the fullness of this glorious life of love and grace. And so it is. Please join me in our opening affirmation. There is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life, God in everything and everyone. The one infinite source of love, abundance, harmony, wholeness, intelligence, and joy is expressing as me.
Thank you so much, Margie. And so Reverend Veronica Valles, I welcome you again. We give you a warm Zoom welcome on this Easter Sunday, and I'm going to spotlight you.
Thank you, Reverend David. It's so good to see everybody. Let's see, I'm adjusting over here. So let's just take a moment first, put yourself on gallery mode, and let's just adore the divine that is here. Even if you just see names, know that that's God, as Joni and Barbara and Austin and Wendy, and just imagine, I'm imagining what they look like, all right? The God presence that's here. And as my friend Jamie Lula always sings, God, you are so beautiful. So just take a moment and just adore the divine that is here now. And just how beautiful it is that we can gather together for this holy day. Every day is a holy day, but for the Easter celebration, where billions of our brothers and sisters are celebrating, and we join in our metaphysical way. I remember as a kid, I grew up Catholic, and we went to Catholic school, so the sixth station of the cross was Veronica wipes the face of Jesus. And as a shy kid, it was always unnerving that everybody would stare at me, But I'd sit during this process and I always contemplated, it's like, why? Like, why did he have to die for our sins? Like, I never quite understood it. And once I went to college, I kind of separated myself from my tradition just to find deeper ways of understanding the mysteries of the universe. And it was Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi, and then eventually Tibetan Buddhism and the rainbow body that brought me back to these teachings, and then New Thought that really brought me to the depth of what Christ was really revealing in our lives. Because we know that Easter follows it's the first full moon after the first Sunday after the first full moon after spring equinox. And we also understand that the church, once Rome took over, the Roman Empire, it started, adopting a lot of the pagan rituals. So we got the egg and the fertility and birth and renewal and kind of weaving it all. And what I became so clearly aware as I went deeper in my studies and deeper in my heart and deeper in my practice, this deep love of what Christ's teachings really were about, because he was radical. He was radically inclusive. His whole message was about healing. His whole message was about love. His whole message was about service. It's really been also Father Richard Rohr of the Center for Action and Contemplation that really has brought me to like this deeper understanding that what we were being given through these parables were how to navigate this human experience, but the real deepest teachings was our divinity. That when Jesus said, "I am the light and the way," he was talking about the I am presence that is our life. And so for me, that resurrection is that path of awakening to the truth of who we are. It is the renewal. It is the transformation. In spring, it's, we see like the irises are blooming here in Dallas. There's hydrangeas outside, the elm tree, because I'm back in my childhood home, the elm tree that I used to sit under, as a kid, the lime green shoots, and you see the visible being made the invisible being made into form from the visible. And then I started contemplating, so we have these cycles of renewal, we have these cycles of death and dying and awakening, and nature reveals that to us. But if we go deeper into our humanity, what we understand is that Jesus was really teaching us to let go of this over-defended ego that Richard Rohr talks about, to let go and shine a light on the shadows of our humanity so we can live from our light, live from our true self. So I'm going to read these two paragraphs from Father Richard Rohr that I really loved, because he describes how the false self lives disconnected from God and from what is ultimately real. Our false self, which we might also call our small self, is our launching pad. Our body image, our job, our education, our clothes, our money, our car, our sexual identity, our success, and so on. These are the trappings of the ego that we all use to get us through an ordinary day. They are a nice enough platform to stand on, but they are largely a projection of our self-image and our attachment to it. None of them will last. When we are able to move beyond our false self at the right time and in the right way, it will feel precisely as if we've lost nothing. In fact, it will feel like freedom and liberation. When we are connected to the whole, we no longer need to protect or defend the mirror part of us. We are now connected to something inexhaustible. To not let go of our false self at the right time and in the right way is precisely what it means to be stuck, trapped, and addicted to ourselves. If all we have at the end of our life is our false self, there will not be much to externalize. It is essentially transitory. These costumes are all accidents, largely created by the mental ego. Our false self is what changes, passes, and dies when we die. Only our true self lives forever. And he says that anything exposed to the light turns into light itself. He quotes that from Ephesians. So that false self, it's not that the ego is a bad thing. It's just the experience of our human reality. But what he's saying is what Jesus taught us, that the awakening to that Christ consciousness, your true identity, the I am that I am, and how you operate, which I call our costumes and the robes that we wear and the personalities that give us the hues and the textures of our humanity, when we know that we don't cling to it. And that for me, that the process that Jesus, through the teaching of the healing, was also awakening us to our divinity so that we can see beyond the ordinary perception. So we have this name that's given to us. We have this body temple. We have, where we're from, our personalities, the joy of being, the jobs that we experience. But that's not our real identity. We get to play in this form. And for me, it's that understanding that when I know how to let go at the right time and the right way, it awakens me to freedom and liberation. And that is representation of the resurrection to me. That when I understand that the Christ consciousness is always fully manifested and awakened moment by moment, breath by breath, when I can see that eyes that see God and know that Spirit's expressing in, through, and as me, and as through all beings, then I can awaken and renew and live from this place of wholeness. So the tomb of the false ego, the small self, is what keeps us separate. It's what causes wars. It's the essence of all the isms of the world that we push people apart from, that understanding that we are interconnected and interdependent because we are all absolute expressions of the oneness that is God. So the Gnostics and the early part of Christianity, I feel like were actually teaching the whole path of the resurrection, the path of awakening to our light, the path of shifting from ordinary perception to that higher expansive consciousness, which is why the mystical path for the Gnostics was like teachable. That it's like us, it's our meditation, our prayer, our connecting with one another in love and service. And that in order to enter the heavenly realm that is available here now, the transformation that is required is the shift in consciousness. It's the resurrection of understanding that I'm not limited by this human form. It's an expression of who I am. And the higher and higher that we can attain this vibrational frequency, which is the light body of the resurrection, the lighter we feel, but the light that we bring to the world. Have you ever walked into a space and you could just feel the presence of people, and you could feel their love and feel their hearts and feel the connection? And that's that Christ consciousness. That's the light that's seeking to reveal itself. Because I've also experienced the place of the ego and the heaviness and the fear and the separation, and it's uncomfortable. And so the moment of that experience is to remember the truth of who I am, is to remember what the resurrection stood for, the renewing of the body and mind, the awakening of the truth of who we are, that the death of the body temple is not the death of who we are, because the infinite is infinite, and the infinite expresses in, through, it as your life. So in order to gain these higher vibrations, that holy, holy way, it is that deepening of meditation. It is the prayer. It is the singing and the chanting. It is the consciousness that reveals that we are all one. So when I go through and, I've been like recently just kind of diving deeper into the parables and the teachings, I see how Christ taught us how to heal and reveal wholeness, how to love and serve one another. And then I start going deeper into but he also was absolutely shining a light on the consciousness of the I am presence. See, here's the thing. You're not made of light. You actually are light. And the resurrection is that light body. The resurrection is that finer, higher vibration that takes us not to the celestial realms that are out of us, but that higher consciousness and that awareness to see and experience only God. And so I walk this path of, the reminder of spring, the reminder then of what I see in the world, the sacred paradox where I've got beauty and yet there's suffering. And I look at the teachings of Christ, how he prepared the way. He showed us what was possible. He invited us to do as him in greater. And so that when we recognize our divinity and we can start seeing with eyes that then see that a person that we're interacting with may be just merely stuck in that false self, that undefended ego, as Father Richard Rohr says. And Father Richard talks about how Jesus was so perfectly, in this male form, and he had a female spirit. And that's the other thing of the wholeness that Christ represents for me, is that harmony of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, that understanding that nothing can be lost. And that surrendering to that which is greater, the greater idea that in the mind of God is seeking to express as your life. So just contemplate for a moment. What in your life feels heavy? What identity is keeping you down? Or maybe something that was said to you? What has been ingrained, a false belief that has propped up the false self, that sometimes we act from our defenses instead of revealing from our heart and our love? And look at it from the lens of that Christ consciousness, that you as a spiritual being having this human experience in your unique incarnation are awakening moment to moment, breath by breath to this truth. And to look at these circumstances, these experiences, and what's the diamond light that you can glean from that? What wisdom is revealing itself to you? And then the renewing of your own mind, of understanding that that human experience that brought this wisdom, and maybe in the most challenging circumstances, is there to refine the light that is in this form so you can shine brighter, so that then you could be that light for people along the way who are having similar difficult experiences, who are experiencing suffering, so that then we rise up in consciousness. So then not only do we understand that we are light, but we're allowing the light to shine. We're tuning to that infinite light. It's not always easy, is it, in this human form? And I love me some Jesus, because he was great to bring to a party, right? You know, if you like to drink, you know, he turned that water to wine. He multiplied the fishes and the loaves. I love that. You know, his mother's like, we need more wine. He's like, okay, got it. You know, but what he really brought to us was how to actually embody your divinity. Embody, like, I would love to have, you know, Jesus TikTok, you know, wouldn't it be great? Like, we could see snapshots of his life and just how he approached people, and how he so invited everybody who was willing, not just to listen, but willing to actually embody this transformation. He didn't have any patience for hypocrites, but he stood in the power that all beings are an expression of the divine. And the rowdy crowd of mystics that he brought into his world, empowering women and men to go spread the good word. And the good word was the word of love. The good word was anchored in light. The good word was about wholeness. The good word was always about love. And so as I reflect on the resurrection and the moment-to-moment awareness that as I inhale and then exhale, there's that life-giving and then releasing. It is that death and dying process and the renewing in every moment that I remind myself is that those moments when I have felt disconnected from God because of experience, because you can never be disconnected, right? We are all this beautiful, bright light of the divine. But those moments where I felt disconnected, I remind myself it just takes that practice of bringing myself back into my breath, back into the heart, back into the awareness so I can anchor in the truth of who I am. And that in every moment, that Christ consciousness is renewed by simply awakening. So the awakening dawned because Easter, I think is, let's see, I forgot his name. Saint Bede the Venerable, he was a 6th century author. He maintains that the word Easter comes from the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring and fertility, but it comes from this other word, alba, which means dawn. So the awakening dawn is the awakening of the Christ consciousness, moment to moment, breath by breath, and allowing ourselves to reveal that light that is our life, to let go of the stories, to let go. The tomb is the letting go part. The releasing of the false self, the releasing of the shadow side, bearing witness to our human experience. And you know what? Having fun in the process, right? But to allow ourselves to rise up, not of the ego, but of that heart awareness. That when we truly recognize the presence within and we truly see the presence in other people, we actually will have a world that works for everyone. So transformation that is required is simply the awakening process, moment to moment, breath by breath. It is the allowing of the forgiveness when we have maybe slipped back, felt a little disconnected. It's also seeing that our brothers and sisters may be having this same kind of experience. You know, all our fellow humans, where they may not know the truth of who they are. They may still have this false belief that they're not worthy. They may not have ever had anyone remind them or mirror to them the presence of the light that is their life. And so the resurrection is the awakening of that light. And the resurrection is happening every moment. And the Christ consciousness that's seeking to reveal itself reveals itself authentically in, through, and as you. So the renewing of your mind is actually the renewing of your heart. It's opening the portal. The tomb that is open is that darkness of the ego, but the heart shines the light. which is why when we drop into meditation and we drop into our heart, we touch that sacred altar, the Holy of Holies, the light that is the light of God, that is our very life. And the more that we cultivate that, the higher the frequency, the lighter we feel. And literally people, like I have friends where animals go towards them. They can feel their light. They can feel their love. I'm around children. I teach children mindfulness, and they'll come to me because they can feel that I'm just bringing unconditional love in their presence. And so for me, it's that awakening from that false self, aligning always in my true self, doing the best that I can. And when I have a very human moment, that self-forgiveness and that allowing that wisdom to reveal itself. So awakening dawn is awakening to wholeness. And the awakening to wholeness then inspires us to serve from love, because those were the teachings of Jesus: love and serve. Love and serve. So the resurrection just brings us to this place of the triumphant spirit, as they say, of understanding that the kingdom of heaven is here now. And yet when we look in the world and there's suffering, then it's like, where can I add light? What's one thing that I can do to bring forth the truth of the oneness and the wholeness? What's one small act of service that I can do? As I shared earlier before everybody got on, I've moved in to support my elderly parents, and the woman that lives across the hallway from me is moving in my space. She's so excited. And she volunteers for the Refugee Services of Texas. And so I've been donating and donating because she's like, Veronica, they have nothing. They have nothing. They've left these war-torn countries. They have nothing. And I'm like, this is how I can be of service. And then I told my mom, and she's like, because we always have these conversations. She's like, well, what can I do? And my mother's got this beautiful light. I get my heart from her. And when I told her about, we can donate to decorate an apartment, she started finding like the best things that she could to donate. This is how we live the resurrection. This is how we live the light, that we see beyond the human constraints and we see only love. And we see only possibilities, and we serve from that love, and we serve from that light. And so on this day of awakening, and this day of renewal, and this day of resurrection, that the great master teacher opened us to this possibility, opened us to the kingdom of heaven that is here now. Just like really rearranged all that we thought we were, and that we could let go, and yet at the same time be fully present in this incarnation. And so the invitation is to explore. So what am I leaving behind? What can I leave in that tomb? What has been the burden that I've been carrying for so long that I can release, so I can move from that darkness of the tomb and into the light of life as my life? So this is what I invite you. First of all, just just enjoy spring, but to take a moment every day and look in the mirror and literally connect with that radiating light that's your true essence. And to understand that process of the resurrection is a moment-to-moment raising of our vibration, lighter and lighter, brighter and brighter. And yet also when you're having your human moments, to connect in your heart, to ask for prayer and support, to listen to beautiful music like Laura's music, to chant the names of the Holy One in whatever way works for you, to deeply go into meditation, yoga, whatever the healing arts, and allow yourself to be renewed in body, allow yourself to be renewed in mind, and allow yourself to be renewed in your heart, and allow yourself to love your light. For you are the place and the space from which the oneness that is God had a need to express in, through, and as you. So I just invite you to go within and touch that light. Take a deep breath with me. And as we breathe into this awareness of the allness and wholeness of God, the oneness, the power, that the power of the resurrection is the power of awakening, the awakening dawn of the Christ consciousness. But I give thanks for each expression of God that's here now, and each expression of God that listens to this later. And as these waves of light circulate in the world, that we collectively make this world lighter and lighter and brighter and brighter, So I'm grateful for not only the absolute revelations from this great master teacher, for the awakening of the Christ consciousness, for the turning on the light from within so we can shine it in the world. I am grateful for the willingness of each person here to step into this journey, to step into this, looking at the false self with love and kindness and awakening to the true self and living from that divine place. And I just know that each person here just takes whatever ignites them and inspires them and literally lights them up and takes it out into the world so that we may see God and we may be God and we may love the way that God loves in every way. So I give thanks for this time. I give thanks for this awareness. I give thanks for the great master teacher and all that was revealed about healing and wholeness and love and service. And I just give thanks for the power and the presence that I call God, that lives and moves and has its being in, through, and as us. So with great gratitude, I just let this word be in the divine activity of the law. And I just stand in wonder and awe to the light of the divine that is here now and expressing. And knowing that it is so, let's affirm this together by saying, and so it is.
I love this life. I love this feeling. Well, I stepped into a knowing that's always been. There's nothing greater or more beautiful to be this whole with gratitude. And heartbreak makes room for love inside me. My faith all the way from now until filled as high as it goes, fused inside my soul, this lovely heart. Oh, oh, oh. A while ago, in my eyes, wasn't a bright side. I was into. Well, life had a longing, and so it was. The fire melted my heart into one. Oh, and heartbreak makes room for love inside. My faith, all the way from now until filled as high as it goes, fused inside my soul. Marry me to your love, yeah. Marry me to your love, yeah. Kisses made of light, marry me to your lovely heart, to your heart. So here we are. I'm glad to be in love with you for all time, for all time. There's nothing greater or more beautiful. All me in you with gratitude. Oh, and a heartache, well, it makes room for love inside me. My faith, yeah, all the way from now until filled as high as it goes, fused inside kisses made of light, of light. Yeah, marry me to your love, to your love. Oh, marry me to your love. I am yours, I am yours, I am yours now. Marry me to your lovely heart. Marry me, God, I am yours. Marry me to your lovely heart.
Wow. Laura Berman. Now, as a musician there, I was noticing you just mixing new age with pop, with rock, with gospel, with blues, with folk, with new age classical. I mean, you creating and that just going right on top of Veronica's message is just wow. So I take a deep breath of gratitude for this Easter Sunday. And Veronica, I just resonated so much with your message. It coming back to the light. We are the light of the world, as Jesus said. And I know that if you're a physicist, you know that light is the only constant, and light is hard to define. It's particle and wave, but it's the only constant, and everything bends around it. Time bends around it, space bends around it, mass bends around it, size bends around it, everything bends around, so light can be the constant. And I really like and appreciate that you said we're not just made of light, we are light. So within the power of that light, which is the power of prayer, it's the power of meditation, it's the power of our intention and consciousness, I just take my prayers right now, and I invite you to do the same. Whatever your prayer is for the world, you're a powerful being. You can make that project out regardless of time and space. And knowing this power of light is also the power of love, I would like for us to hold in our consciousness right now the family of Shirley Haymond, a longtime friend of Unity, who her husband passed away just a few days ago. So we're holding Shirley Haymond and all of her family in our prayers. There's a memorial service this Saturday at 11. If you'd like more information about it, please contact me or contact Deanna Barnett. We also hold our brother Don Barnett in our prayers for continued healing, continued strength, continued resilience and power and wholeness. And anyone else you'd like to add to this prayer? Let's just picture it done in our minds, in our hearts. Taking a deep breath of gratitude for this. I say, and so it is. Amen. So I'm going to share my screen in deep gratitude for our love offerings. And this love offering prayer has been around in many forms, but its core form is the same. It's been around for so many years because it's the truth. So your love offerings, thank you. I see them come in on PayPal. We see them coming in via check. We see them coming in via cash, and it's all an energy exchange. It's your way of giving back to the source, one of the sources that feeds you, and we are so grateful to be one of those sources. So say with me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. Our generous love offerings do good work in our community and beyond, and they are returned to us, multiplied abundantly. And Linda, I'm going to spotlight you for a few, we have a few new things to announce.
Hi, everyone. Happy Easter. Happy Sunday. Thank you so much, Veronica and Laura. We so appreciate the inspiring messages and music that you always bring to us. And we really look forward to the next time that you're back. Save the date of May 18th at 7:30 for an in-person gathering at our venue in Los Gatos. Daniel Nahmad will be with us for an in-person concert on June 22nd at 7 p.m. Tickets will be available soon. Join Reverend David at our midweek gathering this Wednesday night at 7 p.m., which is based on journaling and sharing around 3 spiritual questions of the week. Unity is sustained by generous monthly donations like yours. To donate, go to the donation page on our website. We are so grateful. And back to you, David.
Thank you, Linda. And so you notice the new date we added there, May 18th. We are going to be gathering roughly for right now, every other month in person, May 18th. But in addition to that, Daniel Nahmad is going to be here in June. And then in July on the 13th, please save the date there for what is going to be a beautiful ceremony. It's going to be my ordination on July 13th. And it's also going to be exactly on the day that Unity turns 75. So I'm so happy about that. Let's say together our closing affirmation. The light of God surrounds us. I am that light. The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. The power of God protects us. I am that power. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And Laura, I'm going to spotlight you one more time for a closing song. We'll have a quick community shout out.
Let's sing together. Ooh, the sun's coming in. It's nice. The light. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us all. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, oh blessed always, blessed always, oh for the arms of God surround us so. Let our joy be so triumphant and that we rest in God and say amen. Let our joy, oh, let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in our God and we say amen, amen. Mwah.
So awesome, Laura Berman. I'm going to place myself in gallery view. I invite you to do the same. Thank you for everyone who joined us today on Easter Sunday. Let's just raise both of our hands. And let's just give each other some love, some support right now. And, you know, we hear these messages and there are some common themes. And when we forget, let's just vow to remind each other. And sometimes it's just as simple as sharing the love in this room, because you don't know, the person next to you in the Zoom room may have had the worst day. You don't know. We're going to give that person some love. And we're going to receive some of that love from this room for ourselves, because it's absolutely powerful. I call this service blessed. The message, the music, the sacred space that we create for each other by listening, and the changes in our consciousness that are subtle but so meaningful to the world. It's important work that we're doing right now. With this, I say I'm grateful, and so it is. Blessings to everyone. Happy Easter.